Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Padilla and today I'll be presenting my research proposal on the impact of stress and trauma on mental health of military personnel. This topic is especially important to me because I'm currently serving in the Navy and I plan to commission as a Navy officer. Understanding how stress and combat exposure and high pressure environments affect individuals is critical not only for mission success but for overall well-being of service members. As I go through this, I will be reading off of my transcript, so if I go back and forth, please give me grace. The research question is, guiding my study is, how does prolonged exposure to high stress environments impact the mental health and decision-making abilities of military personnel? This question is important because stress doesn't just affect emotional well-being, it can also impact judgment, communication, and teamwork, which are all essential in military settings. From a leadership perspective, understanding these effects can help future leaders like myself better support their teams, recognize early warning signs, and reduce stigma around mental health. Some of the literature review that I went over, research consistently shows that prolonged exposure to high stress environments has significant effects on the mental health of military personnel. Koch provide a comprehensive review of PTSD among service members who survived in Iraq and Afghanistan, highlighting the repeated exposure to combat and high pressure situations greatly increased the risk of PTSD and related mental health conditions. Their findings also identified key risk factors such as combat intensity, multiple deployments, and limited recovery time, all of which contribute to long-term psychological distress. Importantly, the research connects PTSD to broader outcomes, including impaired function and decision-making, which supports the need to examine both mental health and performance in military setting. Further supporting this relationship, Williamson conducted a systemic review of meta-analysis examining moral injury and mental health outcome in military personnel. Their findings demonstrate strong associations between exposure to morally challenging or high-stress situations and increased levels of PTSD, depression, and anxiety. This quantitative evidence reinforces the idea that stress trauma can be measured and analyzed using standardized assessments, providing strong empirical foundation for examining psychological outcomes in military populations. While quantitative studies identify patterns and relationships, qualitative research provides deeper insight into how individuals experience stress and trauma. Williamson explores the lived experience of individuals in high-stress roles, including military personnel, through interviews. Participants described feelings of guilt, emotional strain, and difficulty coping, highlighting the complex personal nature of psychological distress. These findings emphasize that stress is not only measurable, but also deeply subjective, supporting the need to include qualitative methods to fully understand the impact of trauma. In addition to mental health outcomes, it's also important to consider barriers to treatment. Rodney used a mixed methods approach to examine PTSD and treatment barriers among veterans with traumatic brain injuries. Their findings revealed high rates of PTSD as well as challenges such as stigma, limited access to care, personal beliefs about treatment. The study demonstrates the value of combining quantitative and qualitative data, as it provides both statistical evidence and personal explanations for why individuals may not seek help. These findings highlight the importance of addressing both psychological symptoms and systemic barriers in military mental health research. To effectively analyze qualitative data, Brown and Clark outlined thematic analysis as a systemic method of identifying patterns and themes in interview data. Their approach provides clear guidance for coding and interpreting qualitative responses, ensuring that findings are both organized and meaningful. This method is particularly useful for exploring how military personnel perceive and cope with stress and trauma, allowing for a deeper understanding of their experiences. Finally, Fetters emphasizes the importance of integrating qualitative and quantitative data into mixed method research. They explain that combining both types of data strengthens findings by providing a more complete understanding of complex issues. Their work highlights strategies for merging and comparing data, which is essentially relevant for a convergent mixed method design. By integrating statistical trends with personal experience, researchers can develop more comprehensive and meaningful conclusions about stress and mental health in military personnel populations. The literature demonstrates that stress and trauma have significant impact on both mental health and functioning of military personnel. While quantitative research provides measurable evidence of these effects, qualitative research offers deeper insight into personal experiences. Together, these studies support the use of a mixed method approach to better understand the complex relationship between stress, trauma, and decision-making in military environments. For research and design method for this study, I would use a mixed method convergent triangulation design. In this approach, both quantitative and qualitative data are collected at the same time, analyzed separately, and they're compared or combined to develop a more complete understanding of the research problem. The quantitative component would measure levels of PTSD, anxiety, and decision-making performances using standardized assessments, allowing for statistical analysis of relationships between these variables. At the same time, the qualitative component would involve semi-structured interviews to explore how military personnel perceive, experience, and cope with stress and trauma in their own words. The strength of a convergent design is that it allows the researcher to triangulate findings, meaning results for both data types can be compared to see where they agree, differ, or provide additional insight. For example, if high PTSD scores are linked to poor decision-making in the quantitative data, the interviews can help explain why this happens and what it looks like in real-life situations. This combination strengthens the validity of the study by providing both measurable evidence and deeper context. The study is grounded in paradigm, which focuses on using the most effective method to addressing real-world problems, rather than prioritizing one type of data over another. Pragmatism values both numerical trends and personal experiences. Using a convergent mixed method design allows for a more comprehensive and practical understanding of how stress and trauma impact military personnel, which can ultimately inform better support systems and interventions. There are several important ethical considerations in the study. First, participants must provide informed consent, meaning they fully understand the purpose of the study and their rights. Second, confidentiality must be protected, especially because mental health is a sensitive topic. Another important consideration is the potential for emotional distress, as participants may be discussing traumatic experiences. To address this, participants would be informed that they can withdraw at any time, and support resources would be provided if needed. Finally, I would like to ensure that participation is voluntary and that there is no pressure to share personal information. In conclusion, the impact of stress and trauma on military personnel is a critical issue in psychology, particularly because it affects both mental health and decision-making performance in high-stakes environment. This study is important as it examines these outcomes using convergent mixed methods, triangulation, design, allowing for more complete and balanced understanding of the problem. By collecting and analyzing quantitative data alongside with qualitative insight at the same time, the study not only identifies patterns and relationships, but also examines the lived experience behind them. Integrating these findings strengthens the overall conclusion and provides a deeper, more reliable picture of how stress and trauma influences military personnel. Ultimately, the research can inform better leadership strategies, improve mental health support systems, and enhance overall readiness within military units. Thank you.